Welcome to Segerbos Water Treatment Plant. As a provider of sustainable, universal competitive water and sanitation solutions, Rainwater is making a significant social and economic impact on our society. As a water utility in a water-scarce country, we are committed to water conservation as well as educating our employees, the contractors, the subcontractors, communities on safety, health, environment, and quality issues. Here at Segerbos Water Treatment Plant, your safety is our #1 priority, which is why it is imperative for you to listen to and adhere to the rules and instructions which will be given in this induction video. And thank you for visiting us here at Segerbos. Have a safe stay.
Welcome to the Segerbos Water Treatment Plant. In conducting its business, Rainwater Segerbos Water Treatment Plant measures its performance against the principles of ownership, stewardship, growth and prosperity, completed work, mutual respect and teamwork. In order to fulfill our legal and moral obligations to our employees, customers and suppliers from a risk control point of view, we place a special emphasis on the protection of our employees, assets and their earning capacity. Our performance in this regard is measured against benchmarked management systems that provide the following: safety, health, environmental and quality management policy, security-related policies and standards, corporate and local briefs aimed at reducing and eliminating risks, entrance protocol. Before a person is granted an access permit, he or she shall be requested to provide valid positive identification such as a driver's license, identity document or South African passport. All firearms must be declared and handed in before any access can be granted at any of the security checkpoints. No alcohol, stupefying substances or cameras are permitted inside the critical installation areas. No person shall be granted access to works areas if he or she is under the influence of alcohol or stupefying substances. A primary condition of access to the site is subject to you agreeing that you, your vehicle and equipment may be searched at any time. All visitors are encouraged to maintain their vehicles to avoid vehicle emissions that can cause air pollution. All visitors and contractors must report to the Access Control Office at the Risk Control section to obtain access permits before they can enter the site. Anyone who refuses to be searched upon entrance may be delayed or even detained for further investigation. Equipment regulations. As a contractor, you are required to report to the relevant authorized member of Segerbos Water Treatment Plant and supply the Risk Control section with a complete list of requirements as outlined in the SHE specification documents. The requirements of the permit system must be understood and complied with. All isolations shall be checked by the contractor in the presence of a shift supervisor, and all lockout procedures shall be adhered to. PPE. All contracted employees working at Segerbos have been issued with the required PPE, which includes but is not limited to the following: overalls, welding helmets. Please note that these helmets may not be used for grinding work. Safety glasses and goggles for when one is exposed to grinding or chemicals. Hearing protection for noise areas. Hand safety gloves, safety shoes or boots with a steel toe cap, hard hats for areas where there is a possibility of objects falling from above. These areas will be demarcated. life jackets in the vicinity of water and areas demarcated by a safety water symbolic sign, safety belts or safety harnesses when working at a height where there is a risk of falling. In addition to this, it is essential that visitors wear closed shoes and long trousers within the workshops. Lifting equipment and cranes. All lifting equipment used on the premises should have a load test certificate of compliance. In the event of the removal of any equipment or substituting of equipment, authorized permission must be obtained from the protective services in order to keep the equipment list updated. Only trained persons may perform rigging and lifting operations. Suspended loads may not be left unattended. No person may operate any vehicle, truck, mobile crane or any other machinery without a valid license or medical fitness certificate. Machine guards. No machine guards may be removed from Rand Water without a valid asset removal permit and assurance that the equipment has been properly isolated. No portable equipment may be operated without proper machine guards, for example, portable grinders. Scaffolding. No scaffolding equipment that belongs to Rand Water may be used by contractors. Scaffolding shall be erected and inspected after completion as directed by the construction regulations. Ladders. The General Safety Regulation dictates that ladders must be of sound material and of good construction, be fitted with non-skid devices. Any ladders that do not comply with the aforementioned regulations will not be permitted or used on site. Portable electrical equipment. A portable electrical tool means any electrically operated portable tool, with the exception of ordinary household electrical appliances, which is designed for use with a flexible cord at the supply end and intended for use by hand and to be carried by hand at the place of work or to be moved by hand at the place of work. It is essential that all portable electrical equipment is in good condition. Please note that no portable electrical equipment may be used in confined spaces unless it is fitted with an earth leakage unit. All portable electrical equipment must meet the following conditions. Their earth continuity must be corrected. Correct polarity sequence. No loose connections. No open electrical wires. No joints in cables. Please note that only qualified electricians may work on electrical equipment. Welding and cutting equipment. Welding machines. If welding machines are operated in areas where hot work permits are applicable, the necessary permit must be obtained and the fire prevention rules must be applied. Welding cables must be in good condition. If cables need to be extended, only SABS approved connectors may be used. Proper electrodes must be used. Motor-driven welding machines must have proper machine guards. All welding sets must have an SABS approved 4.5 kg fire extinguisher fitted to the machine. Gas cutting equipment. All oxygen and acetylene cylinder sets must be fitted with the approved SABS flashback arresters. All cutting torches must be fitted with flashback arresters. Only approved hose connectors and hose clips may be used. However, hoses may not be taped together. Hoses may not be cut and the length thereof increased or decreased. No defective equipment such as leaking cylinders and defective regulators may be used. Each unit must be fitted with a dry powder fire extinguisher that is at least 4.5 kgs, which has been checked by an approved inspection authority. Cylinders must be kept in a vertical position on wheeled trolleys. Internal safety regulations. Any malpractices likely to cause injury or loss of life will not be tolerated. In cases where a contractor or his employee do not comply with the SHE standards, the contractor will be made aware, stating a time within which the non-compliance must be rectified. Failure to comply will result in the work being suspended, employees removed from the site, and access permits being withdrawn. All incidents must be reported and investigated, and in the case of a contractor, copies of all documentation shall be submitted to the Risk Control section in compliance with the General Administrative Regulation. In the event of a loss of life, the scene may not be disturbed before the arrival of the labor inspector, and the SAPS must be informed of the death and the removal of the deceased. Excavations. No excavation may commence until the necessary arrangements are made to identify the location of underground water pipes, cables and servitudes. No excavations or trenches may be left unguarded at night or over weekends. Adequate protection around excavated areas shall be done by the erection of safety barriers or fences. Fires and smoking. No person shall be allowed to store any flammable liquids on any premises not designated for that purpose. No open fires shall be allowed on site. Intoxication. An employer or a user, as the case may be, shall not permit any person who is or appears to be under the influence of intoxicating liquor or drugs to enter or remain at a workplace. In addition to this, no person at a workplace is allowed to have in his or her possession, partake of, or offer any other person intoxicating liquor or drugs. In a case where an individual is taking medication, that individual will only be allowed to perform duties at a workplace if the side effects of such medication do not constitute a threat to the health and safety of the person concerned or other persons at the workplace. Environmental legislation. As per the National Environmental Management Act 107 of 1998, ZECOBOSH is committed to reducing pollution and complying with all relevant environmental legislation and other requirements, and continually improve its environmental performance. All visitors must remember that everyone has the right to an environment that is not harmful to their health or well-being. ZECOBOSH practices the environmental management guiding principles as per the National Environmental Management Act 107 of 1998. All contractors and visitors are requested to make a conscious effort not to litter. Smoking within the premises of ZECOBOSH is only allowed within certain demarcated areas. All visitors must ensure that they save water by turning off taps after using them. ZECOBOSH has several chlorination plants. The physical state of hazardous chemical substances kept on site are in a liquid, gas and solid state. And the high volume of chlorine on our site has resulted in it being declared a major hazard installation. To mitigate the risks posed by the chlorine installations, everyone entering the chlorine rooms must be in possession of a chemical safety mask suitable for use in a chlorine installation. For your own safety, do not enter chlorine plants or any other area where gases are utilized unless gas masks or self-contained breathing apparatus are worn or fitted. Service providers delivering chemicals must ensure that they have all documentation as required by the National Road Traffic Act. Service providers delivering chemicals should avoid spillages of chemical substances. Pouring chemicals down a drainage system is not permitted. Everyone who comes into contact with hazardous chemicals must not only be aware of preventative measures, but also know emergency procedures. These procedures include first aid measures, fire extinguishing techniques, as well as spill and leak procedures. Subcontractors. A principal contractor shall be responsible for the following in order to ensure compliance: providing a contractor that has submitted a bid or that has been appointed to perform construction work for the principal contractor with the relevant sections of the health and safety specifications. To appoint each contractor in writing for their part of the project on a construction site. To take reasonable steps to ensure that each contractor's health and safety plan is implemented and maintained on the construction site. To ensure that every contractor is registered and in good standing with the Compensation Commissioner or with a licensed compensation insurer prior to work commencing on site. Every contractor should ensure that their health and safety file, as well as the subcontractor's health and safety file, contain all the documentation that is required in terms of the provision of the Act and the regulations. In addition to this, they should ensure that the health and safety files are kept on site and available to an inspector, client, client's agent or principal contractor upon request. Entry into any part of the premises that is demarcated as unauthorized or prohibited without a responsible ZECOBOSH employee is strictly prohibited. Toilet facilities. Rand Water provides toilet facilities and amenities in a good and clean state to visitors. Parking. Parking of visitors and contractors' vehicles inside the work areas will only be allowed in allocated areas. Parking facilities will be used at the owner's risk. ZECOBOSH will not take responsibility for any damages or losses incurred. Indemnity. Rand Water ZECOBOSH water treatment plant shall not be held liable in respect of any loss or damage to property. This is in respect to the death or injury to any person sustained and against all actions, claims, demands or costs, charges and expenses arising from negligence, breach of statutory duty or default of the contractor, subcontractors, its employees or visitors. Emergency evacuations. Contractors and visitors must be familiar with the emergency evacuation procedure and emergency procedure. When the need arises for evacuation, all persons shall follow the evacuation leader to the nearest evacuation gathering point of the respective area or section. In the case of an emergency, the gathering of persons in the proximity of the occurrence is prohibited, and no person other than those directly concerned with the plant, section, area, or those authorized or requested to deal with the emergency shall enter the area.